Watch this.
How will Idahoans vote in future elections? Well, Idaho voters will cast a ballot on that question coming up in November. But one new group says they hope voters say no to Prop 1. Keeping up with Dr. Cole, we have learned that Dr. Ryan Cole, the physician on the Central District Health Board, may only have that name in title at this point. Records show his Idaho license has lapsed. Thunder and lightning can be frightening, but we are myth-busting some electrifying claims, creating questions from our community.
This is a system that blocks 270,000 independent voters from participating in the most important elections. We're finally giving voters a chance to change that.
So a group of Idahoans wanted to do something about how the Republican-dominated state conducts elections. So they have a question on the ballot now for all Idaho voters. Should the Gem State overhaul the election system? The proposed change from Idahoans for open primaries is to hold one primary election for all political parties. Top 4 vote getters, regardless of their party, would go on to the general election with a ranked choice format. And we've heard from Idahoans for open primaries, their supporters, and we have followed their process for more than a year. That has involved hurdles going all the way up to the Idaho Supreme Court. But now we are hearing from a new group formed with one goal: opposing this proposed change. A battle on the ballot about the ballot is set for November. Will Idahoans change the way elections are run? A new group of Idahoans hopes not.
Idaho Fair Elections PAC was designed to essentially oppose the open primary initiative and inform voters with regard to what it actually is.
Jake Ball is chairman of the Idaho Fair Elections PAC.
I got involved with this because I am a lifelong Idahoan. I think that our system of governance is really good. I saw this coming and I thought this is not great at all for our state. This is something that is damaging to our political dialogue, to our political participation, and it needs to be stopped.
There's concern that the pairing of an open primary with ranked choice voting, taking the top 4 in that primary regardless of the party for an instant runoff involving ranked choice, the concern is all of that is a confusing barrier.
In any given Idaho primary, it's usually between 24 and 27% of registered voters who turn up. So our first exercise is not to completely toss out the system that we have. Why don't we look at getting people who are registered to actually turn out?
There's also the concept from their perspective of, if the system isn't broke, why mess with it?
And I believe it's completely unnecessary to take a system that is working really well, toss it out, and then introduce a completely new scheme that, first of all, is difficult to explain and understand, but secondly, would cost Idaho at least $40 million.
Some in support of the idea say that the $40 million price tag is totally overblown by critics. I asked Secretary of State Phil McGrain about this figure.
We've estimated that it could cost as much as $25 to $40 million. That is an educated estimate based on what we have spent on election equipment in the past. Without really doing a competitive bid, there's no way to know for sure what this would cost our state.
The question of ballot access is another talking point of supporters of the idea. The concept that a heavily red Idaho basically decides all elections during the GOP primary. But Ball disagrees. He believes the system as is provides the same choice for all Idahoans.
If you are an unaffiliated voter, you have a ballot still. You can vote on a lot of things. And it takes literally less than 1 minute to get a party registration and to register with a party so you can participate in that election. It's very simple. The barrier to entry to vote in our primaries is very, very low. So if anybody says that unaffiliated voters are prevented from participating, that's just inaccurate.
So you can take a look from both perspectives. We had previously gone in depth with proponents of Proposition 1. We've explained ranked choice voting. The entire situation is at ktvb.com and the KTVB YouTube page. If you do have questions, and I see some coming in, send them our way.
Okay, what harm can you say that Dr. Cole did to others? Specific harm, please.
It's my understanding that he prescribed ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, both of which were well proven to have no efficacy in the treatment or prevention of COVID.
Back in January, Dr. Ryan Cole's medical license in the state of Washington was restricted by the Washington Medical Commission because of what they say was a pattern of dishonesty and reckless disregard of the truth. Dr. Cole, the Garden City pathologist, rose to controversial fame during the pandemic for floating COVID guidance that was different than the mainstream recommendations like masks and the vaccines, and instead touting the use of horse dewormer, ivermectin, to fight those infections. Now Dr. Cole is reportedly unqualified for a health district position because his medical license has lapsed. Dr. Cole was appointed to the Public Health District Board in 2021 for CDH, Central District Health, but Idaho Code requires the person in that position to have a license to practice medicine. According to the online professional license database, as of Friday, Dr. Ryan Cole's license has lapsed, and apparently he didn't tell district staff. Our partners at the Idaho Press reached out to Dr. Cole, but like a lot of our attempts, he did not respond. Now, the Ada County Commissioners will decide if they will remove and replace Dr. Cole, or Cole could go ahead and just renew his license. According to Idaho law, the window for Dr. Cole to renew his license did pass, but he still has 5 years before he would need to file a completely new application for a license. The next health district meeting for CDH is scheduled for October 18th. Some wildfires are getting worse, like the Wapiti fire. Others appear to be getting better, like the Glendale fire in Blaine County. Our Morgan Romero tells us how much they're burning and where evacuation orders sit now in today's 411.
There are several structures threatened.
Fire officials say they're making progress on the Glendale fire burning near Haley. Level 3 go now evacuations are still in place for Rock Creek Road. Croy Creek and Rock Creek Canyons are on level 2, be ready evacuation status. Lightning started the fire on Monday, and it quickly grew to more than 10,000 acres. But officials say the fire is calming down. The Wapiti fire is now over 108,000 acres and is still 0% contained. There will be another community meeting tonight in Lowman at 6 o'clock for this fire, as well as the Nellie fire. And due to fire activity and air quality, Stanley Elementary and Junior High School delayed their start. School now starts Monday, September 9th. The Middle Fork Complex fire burning right above Garden Valley is now nearly 57,000 acres and only 14% contained. Good news, though. Boise County Sheriff's Office ended all evacuation orders for Middle Fork Complex locations and the Danskin Station area. There are 3 races for Boise School Board trustee today, one for a 6-year term, one for a 4-year term, and the last for 2 years. You'll only see the 2-year race on the ballot because no one else ran for the other 2 terms except the current office holders. If you're voting electronically, all absentee ballots must be returned to District Services Center by 8 o'clock tonight. The winners will be sworn in at next Monday's board meeting.
We want to make sure that we follow the law 100%.
In case you didn't hear over the weekend, Caldwell's parking meters are donezo. On Friday, City Council said drivers don't have to pay meters anymore, and they decided not to renew the parking meters operations contract. One council member said the equipment agreement was not shown or approved by City Council, which is against Idaho code. So now the city is double-checking they did everything right. The meters will eventually be removed, but now City Council is trying to figure out how to deal with previous parking problems. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Morgan Romero.
Idaho and agriculture are a perfect pair that go back centuries, but the landscape has changed. Literally, more and more farmland is being converted for other uses, and the scope of it all may surprise you. Something that you have that may surprise us? Text it in right now. Questions, comments, thoughts, preferably related to the show, but anyways, the number is 208-321-5614. Please be sure to include your name and hashtag the 208. We'll get to some of these live at the end of the show. Farming is the way of life for many Idahoans and a big economic driver for the state. As you probably know, Idaho produces the most potatoes in the nation. Idaho farms and ranches, and they produce $10.9 billion in ag products, and 50% of Idaho's wheat gets exported to foreign markets. But something you may not know is how much land we've lost over the last century. Our Hunter Funk joins us in studio now. Hunter, I know you looked into this and we've gotten questions, people concerned about losing all this farmland.
Yeah, you nailed it right there. We're not like the big cities. We don't have those big developments that are growing upward, they're growing outward. And the 2020 census report shows Idaho was one of the second fastest growing states in the country, which can be great, but it can also be a double-edged sword, meaning farmers are selling their land to developers, and once that land is developed, it's gone. So who's going to feed the world, and where will they grow their crops if this trend continues? That concern is why the Idaho legislature passed a new policy to protect farms.
We wanted a voluntary way for farmers to protect themselves, their way of life, and their farm ground from development. That's what it comes down to. And the key word there is it had to be voluntary. We didn't want to force farmers to do it. If their plan was to sell out their farm and let it be developed, that's their prerogative. But if we could come up with a way and an incentive to get farmers to do that, we thought that it could be successful, and it can be.
Now, this is just a start, and farmers say there is a lot more to be done. Joe, coming up tonight on the news at 6, we're taking a look into the latest numbers of land loss in the Gem State and those steps to really stop it.
It's interesting because I know when you just listen to people in coffee shops, for example, they'll say, oh, well, that used to be a farm. It very literally, it did in many cases.
Yeah, exactly. And now the hope is maybe some incentives with some money that could always help. So.
Okay, well, check-in coming up tonight. Thank you so much, Hunter. We will take a real quick break. 2:08, we'll be back. If we could do ghost busting on this show, I'm telling you right now, I would certainly like to give it a try. But our skills are more attuned to myth busting. Mythbusters! See, the song still works. And after the break, Aspen Shumpert has the word on lightning storms, fact versus fiction. Fact versus fiction is a major theme on this program. Maybe there's an intersection of these two that you'd like us to look into. Tell us about it right now. Text in.
Hey, start out with our temperatures today. I think if we're going to put this in a positive spin in any particular way, I can do it. Okay, take a look at the current temperature. It's 81 degrees, and that is our high for today. We could still warm up a degree or two. But if you were to look at summertime and say temperatures in the 80s, that would be quite pleasant. That's what we have throughout the entire valley. 80 degrees for the high temperature in Jerome, 81 in Twin Falls. Stanley had the high today of 70, 75 in Haley, and 66 so far in McCall. So here's a pretty good map. This is the one that shows you the 24-hour temperature change, okay? So yesterday at this time, we are 17 degrees cooler than what we were yesterday. You remember yesterday, we were up to 98 degrees. Of course, we had clearer skies. We didn't have as much smoke around. So we still have a lot of smoke in the valley. We're in the orange air quality right now. 13 degrees warmer is Caldwell. Nampa's 14 degrees warmer. Ontario, 14. It's pretty close to the same in Twin Falls, but those temperatures in Twin will be coming down for tomorrow. So talking about the smoke, that's the positive swing. Now I'm changing it to another one. This is the current air quality, and most of it, as you see here in the yellow, or excuse me, there's the yellow, here's the orange, unhealthy for sensitive groups. And you can see a lot of that north into the mountains here, which isn't too bad because yesterday they even had purple in some of these spots. We'll still continue to watch it. Boise happens to be orange. Same thing for Mountain Home, but Caldwell and Ontario are yellow. And in Twin Falls happens to be yellow too. But Sun Valley for the brief period this afternoon happens to be green. But there's smoke everywhere. And with more fires from the lightning strikes yesterday, we've had to add this to the Futurecast. If you look here toward Boise, you'll see that smoke coming in. There it is. Even today, as well as tomorrow, even more of this smoke. So even though we can't see the foothills now, it's really going to be a situation for tomorrow. We'll continue to watch that air quality in the area and hope it doesn't have to go up too much. But of course, a lot of it shifts around all over the place. So the lightning strikes from yesterday, which was nearly 4,000 just within a few hours yesterday evening, all over the place. And what's left of the storm is up here. That's just north of Cascade. So you can see there's nothing here into the Boise area, but here it is. And it's starting to break up more and more from what I've been watching this afternoon. It's moving into the western mountains. It's eventually going to dry up like this out through here. So it's going to be drying up around, it already has in the Boise area as well as most of those mountain locations too. So those are some of the changes that are taking place. So taking a look at the 7-day forecast, we've got this smoke with us. It may be with us for a while. We've got the smoke indicated here. Temperatures are going to be warming up near 90 tomorrow, 92 for Thursday. Heat will be coming along, as you can see, through the weekend and next week. Summer-type temperatures well into the 90s, a good 10 degrees above average or more. And then starting next Tuesday, just to let you know, temperature's going to start breaking up a little bit, dropping down. And by the end of next week, we could see some high temperatures in the 70s.
Did you know during a thunderstorm, it is recommended to not take a shower or to be sitting on the toilet? Why? Our Aspen Shepard has the do's and don'ts for when the storm hits. Thunderstorms are starting to really develop east of Burns, moving up toward Baker City. Also thunderstorms, you've seen this typical, moving up through the Twin Falls area.
Monday afternoon, when the storm hit, a group of walkers were on Perrine Bridge in Twin Falls. They shared photos in our Facebook Weather Watchers page. An electrifying walk, you could say. We asked KTVB meteorologist Sophia Bliss how this happens.
When lightning tries to form, it's a big separation of both positive charges and negative charges. And the negative charges are in the bottom of the storm cloud. If you want to think of it kind of as like a electrically charged tentacle trying to reach towards the surface, there's a positive charge that will emerge from the surface as well. And when those connect, that's when lightning happens.
The walkers were right in the middle of that. Does that mean danger? Let's get out.
Yes, absolutely. That means danger. Leave that place right now. No picture is worth you. You have to stay safe. You have to take care of yourself.
The group of walkers say in the Facebook post they left and got back into their car within 5 minutes. Meteorologist Sophia Bliss says if you're out and about when a thunderstorm hits, try and get somewhere covered, like a building or a car.
Getting in the car can be a great option if you're out in the open, and it will keep you safer because most of the cars have metal bodies.
But being in your car doesn't guarantee you won't get struck.
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
It still happened to Angela Ruffing from Twin Falls. It was 2005 when she and her mother were traveling home from the Boise airport.
The clouds just started rolling in, a really dark gray, just terrible clouds, and it just started pouring rain. Well, just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, it just a big old flash, the brightest flash you could see, and it sounded like a crash, boulders crashing. It felt like we had a flat tire.
They pulled over and got out. Without any damage, they got back in their car and made it home safe.
Now I'm petrified of lightning.
For those who stay inside and off the roads, there's still a few things to keep in mind.
And we've got the question, can I be in the shower when there's a storm going on, or maybe even sitting on the toilet? Per your answer, I guess that's a no.
In general, get away from any plumbing, any cords, or windows also. There are rare instances where lightning can actually make it inside through a window through cracks.
So that goes for no washing dishes either.
Yep.
We're not going to be at the sink.
Yes.
And do you have any good kind of rule of thumb that kind of indicates it's pretty serious?
I think the best guidance is if you hear thunder, so if thunder roars, go indoors. And that's the safest way to be.
You can actually use the time difference from when you see lightning first and then hear thunder to estimate how far away lightning is from striking. For every 5 seconds, it's 1 mile, so 30 seconds is 6 miles. And meteorologist Sophia Bliss says lightning can strike 10 to 15 miles outside of a storm. Joe, it's really about staying safe, knowing your surroundings, knowing what your options are so that when the storm hits, everyone's prepared.
It's crazy because you have a bolt like this that was captured by one of our viewers, and I saw some of the videos that we showed today. Boy, people found themselves quickly, closely to the storm.
Yes, they did. And so everyone kind of being on the same page and knowing what to do when that hits is key.
Timely reminder, and thank you to Sophia Bliss for joining us on that piece. We're going to step aside, but we'll be back with your live comments after a quick break. All right, let's see what you had to say about what we covered today. We'll start with this. RJ in Twin Falls asking about ranked choice voting, the proposition. Am I wrong or do I just not get it? Everyone could vote for any 4 candidates, no matter their party affiliation in a primary election. If the majority party greatly outnumbered a minor party, the lesser party candidates would be voted out and they would not be able to advance to the general election. That is correct. Hypothetically, if you had a ranked choice voting situation where the top 4 vote getters were all of the same political party, yes, that would all go on to the final general election. The pro being in terms of the perspective of, okay, maybe these are the best leaders. These are the top 4 vote getters. At the same time, though, the critics would say, well, there's not diversity there. That's only one political party. So, yes, to answer your question, RJ, you actually got it wrong. This person says, Prop 1, why did this proposition combine ranked choice with open primaries? I, for one, would like open primaries and throw ranked choice in the trash. That's a native Idahoan and voter. Appreciate that comment. This person says, in ranked choice voting, what happens if I only select my first choice? Is my ballot thrown out? If you only select one choice, then if for a reason the candidate you selected is eliminated because somebody in the top 4 didn't hit 50% and there's no, I guess, vote to go down to next, it's not that your vote isn't thrown out, but to, I guess, explain it, you only voted for one person in a multifaceted race there, if that makes sense. This person says, can you charge a party as many times as, can you change parties as many times as you want in a year? You can change as many times as you want, but 10 weeks out from the primary election, it locks in. So you could register for one party, go vote in the primary, and then switch, vote with that party in the general election, and then switch again as long as you make sure it's before 10 weeks out. This person says, unaffiliated party voters, they really don't have a lot of choices. Yes, unaffiliated and independent are very different. We will continue to dive into ranked choice voting as we get closer to Election Day.